All right, let's dive right in. Today we're going deep on something that's got the football world buzzing, the Martín Zubimendi transfer saga.
Ah, yes, Zubimendi, the Spanish midfielder everyone's after.
Exactly. This guy is hot property right now with two Premier League giants, Manchester City and Liverpool, both trying to snag him.
And it's not just any two clubs, these are top contenders, going head-to-head for the same player.
And this isn't just your end-of-season scramble either. This is happening mid-season, so that tells you a lot about how much they rate Zubimendi.
Absolutely. He just won the Euros with Spain, even stepped in for Rodri at times, considered by many, to be the best in the world in that position.
Right, so he's coming off a massive win, playing at the highest level. But what is it about Zubimendi that's got these clubs so fired up?
Well, he's been a rock for Real Sociedad. But what's really interesting is he's not a Rodri clone. He's got more mobility. You see him driving forward with the ball more.
So more dynamic than your typical holding midfielder.
Yeah, he's got a knack for intercepting passes and then boom, launching a counterattack.
I can see why both Guardiola and Klopp would be drooling over that. They love those quick transitions.
Exactly. Now, throw in the fact that City are in a bit of a pickle right now. Rodri's out for the season. They're 5th in the league.
5th? That's not where we're used to seeing City.
Nope, a whole 14 points behind Liverpool. For Pep, a manager used to being at the top, this is a crisis.
Yeah, you can see how they're missing that midfield control. They're looking vulnerable.
They need a solution fast. And Zubimendi, with his experience in that tempting €60 million release clause, he fits the bill.
Hold on, release clause. Remind us how that works again.
Sure, basically it means if a club coughs up that $60 million, Real Sociedad can't stop the player from leaving.
Ah, so no messy negotiations. For City, who need a fix right now, that's huge.
Huge is right. But here's where things get even spicier. Liverpool were after Zubimendi last summer, but he chose to stay with Real Sociedad.
So they missed their chance.
Well, not necessarily. They've got the money to compete, but ESPN sources say they're lagging behind City in this race.
Oh, so it's a real battle then.
It is. And the January transfer window is just around the corner. That adds a whole other layer of drama.
Right, the January window. It's famous for being unpredictable. Players don't always want to switch teams mid-season, but the allure of a top Premier League club, that's got to be tough to resist.
It is. So the big question is, will Zubimendi stick with Real Sociedad, or will he take the leap?
That's the million-dollar question. And I guess to figure that out, we need to dig into what each club has to offer.
Exactly. On the pitch, off the pitch, it's all part of the equation. Okay, so let's break down what each club offers from a tactical point of view. We all know Man City under Pep, it's all about possession football.
Yeah, the tiki-taka, controlling the game, those patient build-ups, midfield dominance. It's their signature.
Right, and it demands a specific kind of player,
Technically brilliant, cool under pressure, those quick passes in tight spaces.
Exactly. Now, Zubimendi has shown he can adapt to different systems, but to really thrive in Guardiola's setup, that's a whole other challenge.
He'd have to be dictating the tempo, recycling possession, A&D being precise with every pass.
And let's not forget, Pep expects his midfielders to press hard, win the ball back, basically be a shield for the defense.
So a lot of responsibility on both sides of the ball. Now, Liverpool under Klopp, that's a whole different beast.
It is. They're all about that high-intensity press, lightning-fast transitions, direct attacking.
Physically demanding stuff. You need players with engines, stamina, the ability to cover a lot of ground quickly.
Right, and that's where Zubimendi's mobility and defensive awareness would shine. Imagine him breaking up attacks, winning the ball high up the pitch, and then boom, counterattack.
In theory, he'd slot right into that system. But let's move beyond just the tactics for a second.
Sure, at City, you're talking about joining a team stacked with world-class talent, He'd be fighting for a spot with De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden.
Wow, those are some big names to compete with. Even for a player like Zubimendi, getting regular playing time, that's not a guarantee.
Not at all. Whereas at Liverpool, their midfield, Henderson, Thiago, they're not getting any younger.
So he'd be more of a long-term project for them, someone they can ease into the team, build around him for the future.
Exactly. But then you have the mentorship factor. At City, you've got Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest tactical minds ever, a chance to learn from the master.
I mean, that's got to be tempting. To pick the brain of a manager who's revolutionized the game.
For sure. But at Liverpool, he'd be learning from guys like Fabinho, Thiago, players who've thrived under Klopp, who know the Premier League inside out.
It's like choosing between two amazing schools. Do you go for the intensive course with a legendary professor, or the hands-on apprenticeship with seasoned pros?
And then there's the whole life outside of football thing. Manchester versus Liverpool, two very different cities.
Right. Manchester, it's that bustling metropolis, music scene, nightlife, a real melting pot, always something going on.
Liverpool, on the other hand, it's more about history, that working class pride. Football is like a religion there, and of course, that famous Scouse humor.
So it's more than just choosing a club. It's choosing a lifestyle, a whole new community, where you're going to feel at home.
And let's not forget the money, right? We know Zubimendi has that 60 million release clause.
But the actual transfer fee could be way higher depending on negotiations, add-ons, all that jazz.
And then there's the wages. Both City and Liverpool, they throw money at top talent. We could be talking a weekly salary of, what, over 200,000 euros?
Crazy money. But it also shows you how much they value a player like Zubimendi. They see him as someone who can change the game.
Absolutely. It's interesting, though, to think about the knock-on effect this could have. If one of these clubs pays a king's ransom for Zubimendi, it could inflate the whole market.
So it'd be more expensive for other teams to get similar players.
Exactly, like a domino effect. One big transfer can shift the whole landscape, valuations, contracts, even the balance of power between clubs.
It's easy to forget that these transfers aren't just isolated events. They're part of a much bigger picture.
And right now, Zubimendi is at the heart of it all, the star of this transfer dance.
It's been fascinating to break down the tactics, the cultural side, the financial implications, but let's not forget, there's a real person at the center of this story.
Yeah, you're right. A young guy, 25 years old, living the dream, playing for his boyhood club, and suddenly, he's at a crossroads.
Imagine the pressure, the expectations from fans, the media scrutiny, the uncertainty of it all.
It's a lot to handle, especially when you're making a decision that could impact not just your career, but your family, your whole life.
It's a human story that sometimes gets lost amidst the numbers and the tactics.
It is. It's a reminder that behind every transfer, there are emotions, ambitions, anxieties, just like in any big life decision.
So as we analyze this move from every angle, it's important to remember that human side of it.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, Zubimendi will choose what feels right for him, both professionally and personally.
So while we wait for his decision, let's try to look past the headlines, the rumors, and see the human drama unfolding.
And let's respect his choice, whatever it may be, knowing that he's facing a decision that could shape his entire future.
We've covered a lot of ground, the tactics, the culture of those two cities, even the financial side of things.
Yeah.
But there's one more layer I think we need to peel back.
I think I know where you're going with this. The psychology of it all. The mental side for Zubimendi, right? We can analyze the clubs all day long, but how does a player actually make this kind of decision?
Exactly. Let's try to step into his shoes for a second. You're 25 years old, you've just won the Euros with Spain, you're a key player for your club.
And boom, suddenly, two of the biggest names in football want you. Talk about a confidence boost.
It's got to be a bit overwhelming, though.
Right.
Is he ready for that level of pressure, the expectation to perform week in, week out?
Especially when you look at the different situations at those two clubs. Man City, they're in a bit of a panic mode. They need to turn things around, and fast.
So, on one hand, you could be the hero, the guy who comes in and saves the day, but that comes with a ton of pressure.
While Liverpool, they're sitting pretty at the top of the table, a real well-oiled machine. Joining them might mean less pressure to perform instantly, but maybe a longer wait to become a regular starter.
So, does he choose the potential for immediate impact at City, or the chance to be part of something special building at Liverpool? It's a tough one.
And then you've got the Champions League to consider. City, they're on the brink of elimination, while Liverpool, as usual, are looking like strong contenders.
Yeah, that's a big draw for any ambitious player. The chance to play against the best in Europe, to chase that trophy.
But it's interesting to think about the different learning experiences he'd get. At City under Guardiola, it's like a footballing masterclass, adapting to that very precise, complex system.
Right, whereas at Liverpool under Klopp, it's more about absorbing that mentality, the intensity, the never-give-up attitude. It's a different kind of education altogether.
And maybe the biggest question is, how does Zubimendi see himself as a player? Does he want to be that midfield maestro, dictating the tempo, controlling the game like Guardiola's teams?
Or does he see himself as a more box-to-box engine, thriving in that high-energy, chaotic style that Klopp loves?
Ultimately, it comes down to what kind of player he wants to be and where he thinks he can reach his full potential.
We've explored so much, the tactical side, the cultural differences, the financial stuff. But at the end of the day, This is a human decision.
And a tough one at that. We can analyze and speculate all we want, but ultimately, only Zubimendi knows what's going on in his head.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive, I have to say, I'm really impressed by players like Zubimendi. To be faced with such a massive, life-changing choice, it takes a lot of courage.
It's a good reminder that behind all the headlines, the transfer fees, the rumors, there are real people with dreams, ambitions, worries, just like all of us.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe this is just the beginning of a long and amazing career. Whether he ends up in Manchester, Liverpool, or stays in Spain, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on Zubimendi.
It's been a fascinating journey. Thanks for joining us as we explored the world of football transfers and the human stories that come with them.
We hope this has given you a deeper understanding of not just this transfer, but of the complexities of the beautiful game. Until next time.